Hi guys, today we are going to present about the impact of foreign direct investment towards Malaysian economy. Okay, let's get started.
Foreign direct investment, in short FDI, plays an important role in certain countries as they also contribute profits toward the host country, as well as give impacts toward the gross domestic products (GDP) and gross national product (GNP) of the country. FDI also contributes in monopolized sectors and providing jobs in the country. By having foreign direct investment, it can also increase the multilateral relationships between Malaysia and other countries, as well as can promote peace and harmony in the country. There are a few examples of FDI in Malaysia, including Dutch Dairy Milk Industries, Hershey's, cocoa production, and much more in our daily life. As there are so many benefits of foreign direct investment, what are the impacts of it when it comes to Malaysia? This will also be discussing in our topic, Impact of Foreign Direct Investment in Malaysia. Impact on trade.
The global financial downturn was transferred to Malaysia through the business and financial sector. Malaysian exports trend is closely connected with developed countries, especially the US and the European countries. Economic was seriously affected by the drop in exports, especially in the manufacturing sectors. The crisis revealed the weakness of Malaysia's export-dependent growth. In the first half of 2008, stronger growth in both commodities and resources owing to the high commodity prices extend to a large trade surplus. The gross export increased by 9.6% in 2008. However, there was a big drop in exports in the last quarter. The investment was decreased and the exports became worse. The manufactured export was the most worrying fall, especially electronics, electrical, E&E products, and appliances. Total manufactured exports fell 20%, led by semiconductor and electronics. In the 1980s, not only developed but also developing countries introduced economic liberalization policies, and Malaysia was no exception. In the later half of the 1980s, Malaysia accelerated trade liberalization policies and drastically eased restrictions with respect to the capital ownership of foreign companies. This paper investigates to what extent these trade and FDI liberalization policies contributed to the high economic performance of Malaysia, with special focus on the productivity of the manufacturing sector. Section 2 provides an overview of trade and FDI liberalization policies of Malaysia in the 1980s. The reasons behind the introduction of acceleration of liberalization policies are also clarified. Section 3 evaluates liberalization policies as a whole by comparing the economic performance of Malaysia in the pre-1985 and post-1985 periods. Section 4 analyzes the impact of liberalization policies on the productivity of the manufacturing sector of Malaysia in particular.
Impact on finance.
In the first quarter of 2008, a strong net inflow of FDI were amounting to Rm 21.1 billion for investment in the debt securities market, which more than contra the net outflow from the equity market. Since the second half year of 2008, as other Asian countries, Malaysia facing capital outflow this problem. Due to the US reduced their international business and their focus on their own market, Malaysia was suffered a big drop in funds. The deleveraging activities by foreign financial institutions caused the large reversal of portfolio investment flows arising. The reversal of the portfolio capital flows as a result of repatriation by foreign participants influenced the stock market. In Malaysia stock market, foreign countries' involvement occupied a high level. In Malaysia, net portfolio flow and stock prices are virtually interrelated. In the second half of 2008, the reversal of portfolio capital flow because of divestments by foreign financial institutions with the onset of the global crisis led to a fall in reserves.
Government action. To recover the economy downturn, Malaysian government introduced two stimulus packages. The main support of the economy is domestic demand in public sector expenditures. The first stimulus package that the government announced on 4th November 2008 was amounted 7 billion ringgit Malaysia. The government professed that they would use the funds to distribute projects with a high multiplier impact on the economy. Due to the global development became worse in the last quarter of 2008, Malaysian economy foreground faced a serious recession. Therefore, government introduced second stimulus package that was largest, totaling 60 billion ringgit in March 2009. In Malaysia economy history, this was the largest stimulus package. It's equal to 10% Malaysia's GDP of that two stimulus package. On 31 December 2008, the net international reserve declined by 18.2 billion ringgit Malaysia to 317.4 billion ringgit Malaysia. During the year, the movement in the international reserves was characterized by two diverse periods. In the first 6 months, the reserve increased by 75.2 billion ringgit Malaysia to 410.9 billion ringgit Malaysia as the end of June. Malaysia remains a participating member in the financial transaction plans of the IMF. In 2008, the increase in reserve position with the IMF revealed net purchases of currencies by several member countries under the financial transactions plan. Several measures has been introduced to advance beyond to financing for all economic sections. These include the organizations of financing, guarantee facilities for business, special funds, sufficient liquidity, including the availability of US dollars for the trade financing, and the organization of the financial guarantee institution to provide credit enhancements to companies for fundraising in the domestic bonds market. To support private consumption, the rate of EPF was also reduced from 11% to 8% and higher vehicle loan qualification for officials. Between November 2008 and February 2009, the central bank lowered 3 times of the overnight policy rate by a sum of 150 base. The statutory reserve requirement (SSR) was lowered by 200 base to 1%. The effectiveness of measures taken by government. To recover the economic slowdown, the government introduced two stimulus packages which amount 7 billion ringgit Malaysia and 60 billion ringgit Malaysia. In the first package, it led to a high multiplier that from the projects of the fund. The second package will use for spending on create job opportunities, labor training, improving public facilities, school facilities, basic amenities, and also guarantee facilities. The execution of these two stimulus packages appear to be slow. The full impact of this measure need time to take effect. Out of the 7 billion ringgit Malaysia from the first package, it's only 2.3 billion ringgit Malaysia spent. However, for the second package, the direct stimulus package is only 18 billion ringgit Malaysia, and the rest 42 billion ringgit Malaysia are used in private financial initiative, equity interest, guarantee funds, and off-budget initiative. On the other hand, in the construction sector, there are more foreign workers. When they remit back the money to their country, actually they're creating leakage in the internal economy. Therefore, it might influence the multiplier effect from the stimulus spending. The other causes of leakage are the corruption and fiscal mismanagement contribute. The monetary policy response has been forward-looking in the environment of shifting challenge. Most economies in the region will attempt the expansionary monetary policy and the counter-cyclical fiscal policy. To assess the incentive risk to price stability, banks use several kinds of core inflation measure components of the group of indicators. In the same time, by lowers the cost of the intermediation, the expansionary monetary policy has been front-loaded and sustains internal economic activity. Impact of balance of payment. In the overall balance of payment (BOP), the goods surpluses will significantly turn to deficits in the third quarter of the year. In the second quarter, the BOP showed a positive surplus of 62.2 billion ringgit Malaysia. However, in the third quarter, it became a loss of 31.5 billion ringgit Malaysia and followed by a loss of 62.5 billion ringgit Malaysia in the last quarter. The main cause of the deterioration in BOP was the large outflow of capital. The overall BOP was recorded a deficit through the current account balance remained high surplus because there was a massive outflow of capital. The sudden departure of large sums of money or assets is a detrimental event that triggers several negative consequences for the affected country. It reduces the strength of the economy and of the government, as it means a loss of tax revenues. Additionally, rapid capital outflows reduce the purchasing power of citizens in the affected country and major assets may be devalued. Finally, it can trigger a shock of domino effect if other people become panicked and start withdrawing their capital.
Impact on investment.
For impact of investment, in 2008, net direct investment overseas by Malaysian raised to 47.1 billion ringgit Malaysia. Private investment, the outward of direct investment by Malaysia, surpassed the inflow of foreign direct investment. Compared with 2007, the external direct investment in 2008 was dropped by 17%. And in the second half of the year, when the FDI inflow was moderated by global economic crisis, Malaysia has increased the direct investment to 50.2 billion ringgit Malaysia.
Impact on exchange rate.
For the impact on exchange rate, the global financial crisis has led to the downward trend in ringgit versus the US dollar. Ringgit was impacted by the capital flow since the depegging from the US dollar. The decreasing in portfolio capital outflow and in the demand in export led the value of ringgit depreciated. FDI has performed a very significant role in Malaysia's economy in creating economic growth by expanding domestic capital formation. A key component in the global economy is exchange rate movement, which determines the distribution of international resources and also affect the profitability of daily international transactions. The researcher is aware that GDP of manufacturing sector and exchange rate have contributed significantly to the Malaysian foreign direct investment. However, it should not be overstated that
Impact on unemployment and labor.
in impact and unemployment of labor, a strong labor market condition in 2007 and endure into the first half of the year 2008. The labor market status started to soften in the third quarter of the year because of the business, especially in the manufacturing sector. As the unemployment in country rises, many of them has been sent back. But overall, unemployment in Malaysia that caused by economic crisis was not as grievous as other countries. Malaysia as a developing country needs support from other countries for economic growth. This is done by receiving massive foreign direct investment, which contributes to a higher unemployment rate. During 2009, Malaysia faced a downward trend on the FDI. In many studies, decreasing FDI affects unemployment rate significantly. The study finds that FDI, number of foreign workers, and GDP significantly influence the unemployment rate in Malaysia.
In conclusion, there are a few impacts of foreign direct investment to Malaysia's economy, such as impact on trade, impact on finance, government's actions, the effectiveness of measures taken by government, impact of balance of payment, impact on investment, impact of exchange rate, impact on unemployment and labor. So, in overall, all of the statement, foreign direct investment can bring benefits to Malaysia's economy.